Hey, what's up everybody, this is Muth24, and today I'm taking a look at the Guardians of the Galaxy Abnett and Lanning run from the mid to late 2000s. This is the reprint of all the collected volumes in two larger volumes, and technically I believe these are called the Complete Abnett and Lanning Guardians of the Galaxy collection, or something to that end. If you look them up on Amazon, they use the same cover art as the first and fourth volumes in the original tradeback print, but like I mentioned, these collect the whole series into two volumes. So, with this first one, originally the initial print had, I think issues 1 through 6, and then number 2 had 7 through 12. This one runs numbers 1 through 12, and then this one obviously runs issues 13 through 25. Now, I had been trying to get my hands on this particular Guardians of the Galaxy run for a long time. The thing is, before they did these new reprints here, it was really hard to come by some of the earlier volumes. I ended up getting Volume 4 as a standalone thing, thinking that when they were re-releasing this series, they were doing them the same way they had before, where it was Volumes 1, 2, 3, and 4, instead of Volumes 1 and 2 in a single thing, and Volumes 3 and 4 in a single thing. So I mistakenly bought Volume 4, planning to get this and everything else, but then turns out, hey, I got everything in just a different format. The binding on this is really nice. I like the fact they stuck with the old cover art because I do think it's really cool. And as far as the story goes, most of the Guardian stuff I had read before this was actually the newer Brian Michael Bendis run. And I know some people aren't as hot on that. I enjoy it. Certainly, I do like the fact that they've sort of crossed over with Iron Man and especially Angela. I really enjoyed that storyline. But I understand that the team in the current Guardians of the Galaxy run is more closely aligned with the movieverse, and is a smaller team. It's just sort of the core Guardians characters being Drax, Gamora, Star-Lord, Groot, and Rocket. And it's a lot easier to sell, I understand that, but I think that there's something a lot more intriguing about this particular version of Guardians of the Galaxy. I've done reviews for Annihilation, the omnibus that I own, the Thanos Imperative, War of Kings, and this is that same sort of run of the cosmic renaissance that Marvel was doing at the time. And because of that, it was sort of a no-holds-barred take on the cosmic characters and the adventures they were going to go on and that sort of thing. And I think that's what works to the advantage of this cosmic renaissance so much more than some of the storylines they're doing now, is the fact that they could get as weird as they wanted to, and they could justify it within the realm of the Marvel cosmic stuff. The team that we have in Guardians of the Galaxy here is a lot bigger than the current Guardians team. Obviously you have Star-Lord, Drax, Gamora, Rocket, and Groot, as I mentioned before. You also have Adam Warlock playing into this team. We have Phyla-Vell and Moondragon, and the later members that join up include Major Victory from the original Guardians of the Galaxy team, the ones that were set in, I think it's 3001 AD or something like that. I know that they're way far in the future, when the Badoon have taken over pretty much everything. And there are ties between the old Guardians team and the new Guardians team with this storyline. There you can see Starhawk tying into the story. And they also team up with Jack Flag and Mantis and Bug. And there's some really cool stuff that goes on in this first collection, with sort of setting the stage for not just the conflicts that the Guardians are going to face as larger threats to the universe, but also the sort of struggle they're going to have amongst themselves in staying a team. That's one of the, I think, biggest tricks that, or one of the trickiest things, rather, that plays into this first volume, specifically the second half, is keeping them together, and Peter Quill trying to be a leader in the face of everyone telling him, this is a mistake, there's just too much going wrong with this. The second volume is more of a direct, there's more of a looming threat the whole way through, from a handful of parties and individuals. We do see the Church of Universal Truth play a significant role in this, and they're more important in the first half. They do come back in the second collection. We do see Blastar and a couple people from the Negative Zone show up here. And the great thing about this volume is the way that it ends it sets up for some of the stuff that's going to happen in the second volume, as well as stuff that's going to happen in the larger picture of the cosmic stuff, including Thanos Imperative and War of Kings. Because War of Kings sort of happens at the end of this collection into the second collection. It's sort of along the lines of what was originally Volume 2 and 3 of the original trade paperback release. So, kind of the middle ground for this is War of Kings is happening. And they do mention some stuff that's going on there, and make mention of what's his name, Vulcan, and Gladiator, and all these other characters who were big in War of Kings. They make a little bit of mention of the Inhumans, but most of the Inhuman stuff is tied directly to War of Kings, not so much into this. We do see Cosmo here. I forgot to mention him earlier. And it's kind of cool that even though this is a relatively short run compared to, say, like the Avengers or something that's always ongoing, that there's a lot of changing of the team there, as I mentioned before. So you get a lot of different perspectives on things. You get to see a lot of different characters get involved in the fight and sort of come into their own because of that. I mean, it would be fun to see Rocket and Groot and Drax and Gamora do their thing the whole way through. But Jack Flag is really entertaining because he hates cosmic stuff. So it's really fun to see him just sort of tagging along for the sake of, well, he knows there's greater good that he can do. He just doesn't like the situation that he's in. And also the way that Major Victory presents sort of a unique perspective on everything, because he's one of the original Guardians of the Galaxy and is now sort of a stranger in a strange land. He's sort of been displaced from his own era and put into this modern Marvel setting. We also see some interesting characters come into play. I won't really explain, how they come into the picture, but I don't want to spoil things there. But there's a lot of implications of what's going to happen later on. The one little weird thing about the second half of this second collection is that it sort of shifts in tone and presentation, and it is leading into Thanos Imperative more than anything else. It's kind of, they've wrapped up War of Kings at this point. Realm of Kings is relevant, but it's not quite as heavily tied to the external storylines. And whereas the previous issues were more about the the larger scale fights they were having, this is just like a small scale sort of teaser of everything that's going to come in Thanos Imperative. It does pay off well in the end. I like the direction that they take with things here, but it's definitely got a different feel to it, and that's something that kind of threw me off when I was reading it. I didn't dislike it at all, but I didn't think that it was quite as enjoyable to read as the rest of the series. That said, as a whole, I think that this Guardians of the Galaxy collection is one of my favorite Marvel stories I've read in the entirety of my time reading Marvel stuff. I think it's paced really well. It knows what its limits are, but it can go just kind of all over the place and do some crazy things, while still keeping itself, in perspective there, keeping itself tethered to some particular rules in the cosmic side of things. And the characters are just a really cool ragtag group of heroes, sort of the unlikely heroes, if you will. I think that's what makes them so endearing in the long run. I've obviously done reviews of Annihilation. I think that's great, and I think that War of Kings is great, and that Thanos Imperative is great, and the Cosmic Renaissance stuff as a whole is really high quality writing. But if I had to pick a single part of that is unquestionably the best thing that I've read, it would be Guardians of the Galaxy right here. And that's one of the things that I was a little skeptical of going into it, is I was kind of the impression that maybe people had better memories of this than the product actually was in terms of quality. But I was pleasantly surprised to see that this is still holding up very well today. And as much as I do like the current Guardians run, for what it is, I think this is superior in just about every way. And is, I think, a more powerful and lasting story, at least for me. So if you are considering getting the older Guardian stuff, I mean not older because there's really old stuff before this obviously, but the Marvel Cosmic Renaissance stuff, the late 2000s run, if you're considering getting that, definitely would recommend it. It's really nice having these in 2 collections here. The binding's a lot nicer, the actual cover itself is a little bit glossier and nicer looking, and you do get the alternate cover art there in the back, which I showed off in the first volume a little bit, but I showed off in the second volume here just for the sake of showing it all as best I can. Yeah, there's some Deadpool variant back there. There's an Iron Man tie in there. I don't know what that was from because Iron Man doesn't actually show up in this particular series. But you also have concept art there of the old Guardians, and then some ads in the back for other cosmic stuff, namely the older Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity Crusade, cosmic crossovers, and all that. But yeah, like I said, highly recommend this if you are looking for something weird and different, if you are looking to read the sort of inspiration for all the Guardian stuff that's booming right now, thanks to the movie and the new comics and all that. Definitely give this a shot. I cannot recommend this enough. So that's pretty much it for this review, and with that, I will see you guys next time.